The over 300 Korean nationals who were detained by ICE, who were here on valid visas at the Hyundai plant in Georgia, returned safely back to South Korea on a chartered plane provided by the South Korean government. They arrived at the Incheon International Airport with a big warm welcome by South Koreans and South Korean news media outlets. Now, initially, the over 300 Korean nationals were scheduled to leave Georgia, scheduled to leave the United States on Wednesday. They had already scheduled the chartered plane. They had scheduled the buses to take the over 300 Korean nationals from the Immigration Detention Facility Center on the Georgia-Florida state line to the Atlanta Hartsfield and Jackson International Airport. However, the Trump administration stalled that process. Shocker. The Trump administration wanted to negotiate with South Korea to keep the over 300 Korean nationals who were here on valid visas. They wanted them to stay here and finish the jobs because they realized that these were people who had high-tech skilled labor that Americans could not do. And they were here to train Americans how to do the job once the plant was up and running and fully operational. The administration had promised that this incident would not happen again, these people would not be deported back, and that these people could stay in the United States. The South Korean government made this a voluntary leave for the over 300 Korean nationals, and all but one wanted to go back to South Korea. I believe the one that wanted to stay in the United States is not staying to finish the job. They are staying to pack up their things and then head back to South Korea. The Trump administration and ICE also wanted these South Koreans to leave on the buses in shackles still and handcuffs. And so the South Korean government said, hell no. You're taking that off of our people, and we're taking them on a bus because they did nothing wrong. You're not putting them in shackles and making a mockery out of us. Talks between Marco Rubio and the Foreign Affairs Minister Cho also stated that Marco Rubio would erase basically everything that happened at that ICE raid that happened at the Hyundai plant, and that the over 300 Korean nationals would be able to return to the United States without anything coming up on their side when they enter back into the United States. Usually there's a 5-year ban. Marco Rubio stated that they would not do that to the over 300 Korean nationals who were here on valid visas trying to do their jobs. Now, the three big chaebols, okay, the three most powerful, influential families in South Korea, which is Hyundai, LG, and Samsung, all had a meeting with the South Korean government stating that they wanted a better visa process in order for them to return to the United States to do any business or investments with the United States moving forward. Along with SK Engineering, which does all the engineering for those three big companies, they are asking for a better and easier process of E2 visas, which are non-immigrant visas. The reaction to the Hyundai raid in Georgia in South Korea has been explosive and has had a bad effect on how South Koreans view Americans. There have been protests outside of the U.S. Embassy and a lot of chatter about how this has changed the relationship between South Korea and America. South Korean companies like Hyundai, LG, and Samsung, which are chaebols, are very hesitant on investing and doing any more business in America moving forward. The fallout from this has been astronomical. Governor Kemp of Georgia is scrambling right now because South Korea and these companies have invested billions into Georgia, and now it's gone. Also, the 360 that this administration has done because they realized that these people were here as highly skilled laborers who can do these jobs to train Americans, and realizing that we need them, has been very interesting to see this administration turn around and be like, well, maybe we do need them. And these people aren't what we thought they were, what we've been spewing out. Yeah. Anyway, I was really glad to see that the over 300 Korean nationals arrived back to South Korea safely, and they were greeted with a very big, warm welcome by South Korea. It made my heart warm to see that and to see Koreans come together.
When a government is built on discrimination and profiling of colored people, this is what happened. Over 300 South Korean experts came into America to help build the plant and, of course, train Americans. And after they train the Americans, they can go back to their country. But little did they know of that they are not going to stand or build any plants, but that they'll be arrested and put in prison with handcuffs in their hand. This is the story of over 300 South Koreans that came from South Korea with the agreement between South Korean government and American government that they should come and train Americans so that they can hand over the plant and the whole business into the hands of America so that they can be the one to manage the business. But hey, ICE came into the plant, arrested them, jailed them, and of course, they went back to their country because they were not happy with the treatment. But let me not give you the full gist. Let's go watch videos that I've put together for you so that we can come back and discuss about it. Credits are given to all content in this video. Don't go nowhere. I'll be right back.
Good morning, Blue Lulus. It is still super dystopian out here. Let's go ahead and get into it. The country of South Korea is officially opening a human rights investigation on our entire country following the Hyundai plant incident, where, of course, a woman who's running for Congress in Georgia saw that there was a bunch of people working at this Hyundai plant that weren't white, and so she just assumed that they weren't allowed to be here. In the first place, she made a little old call to Frozen Water, and they came in and they took almost 500 people, put them all in chains and handcuffs, and left them in deplorable conditions for days, like left them out in the sun, didn't give them enough food and water, and the country of South Korea chartered their own vessel to come here and bring them all back. And now that plant, along with 8,500 other projects here in the United States, are suspended indefinitely. The country of South Korea said that they actually would be willing to send people back over here, but they can't find anybody who's willing to do it. And of course not. Why on earth would they be willing to come back here for that? And that's the thing about all of this cruelty that has been so embedded into our society, particularly over there on the right. You're so far down that pipeline where people just troll and do terrible things and mean things for kicks that you can't even tell the difference between reality and fiction, between good and evil, between right and wrong, that you're now confused that nobody would sign up to be put in one of those places. Like, wake up. What are you doing? The Vice Penguin went on his old friend CK's podcast yesterday, and it was incredibly dystopian. He sat behind his government-funded, taxpayer-funded desk and was hosting a super far right-wing religious podcast. And it wasn't like a sweet eulogy full of fun stories and like a remembrance. They literally used it as a business opportunity. He said that he wanted to figure out how he was going to turn Joker voters into Republican voters here in 2028. He also went on to say that CK never said anything about the brain processing power of Black women and that he'd never uttered those words. That's objectively a lie. But that goes back to what I said the other day. A lot of the people over there really don't see it. They really haven't seen that clip, and he's counting on them not doing that. They're controlling the narrative constantly, showing us what makes us mad, showing them what makes them happy, and then showing them what makes them mad about us. It is all an illusion, and it's completely insane. Obviously, the things that that man said were absolutely reprehensible, and they are using our reaction and their reaction against us. Because people are more mad at me about the fact that I'm not calling for more violence in this situation than they've been about absolutely anything else that I've ever said. Well, if I'm not hateful enough for you, then this probably just isn't the page that you need. I am mad. I am furious about everything that's happening in the world, but I'm not a warrior. I'm a healer. I'm looking for truth with a capital T, and that is going to have some criticism of absolutely everybody because nobody's perfect. So if you don't like that, it's really okay. You don't have to stay. A 22-year-old Black boy was found hanging from a tree at a college in Mississippi just yesterday, and that's horrible. And of course he is, because the people over there are continuing to blame all of this on us, despite their ridiculously flimsy narrative that they have over this kid who was clearly a person who was raised in a MAGA household with traditional values, yada yada. They're still trying to find a way to blame it on us, and as a result, there is a little boy a 22-year-old who I still consider a little boy who was found hanging from a tree. The news is saying that there was just a body found because they don't want to be too inflammatory. They don't want to mix things up too much, but that's what actually happened. This kid also had a broken leg, so he couldn't have possibly scaled that tree on his own. When are we going to stop? Why? Why do we feel like the only solution to our existential dread is to harm each other? And how on earth do we get out of that? Get your kids, people. Like, there are so many instances in the last 6 months where Black boys have been taken victim by these super far right-wing children, and like, there's no push for anybody trying to do anything better about it. Come get your kids. Like, before having kids, I remember thinking that like raising my daughter would be harder than raising my son, but at least little girls just like snipe at each other. They're just mean to each other. These boys, they're taking each other out because we literally are not giving them the tools that they need to cope with what's happening right now. And the only thing that they feel like they can do is destroy things and each other. And that's a systems issue that we are all going to have to figure out. How do we get out of this? And lastly, we blew up another boat yesterday in the middle of the ocean, supposedly because it had party favors on it, is what they say, even though it's pretty clear that there's quite a bit of that happening in the Costa Blanca. And like, is that just what we're doing now? We're just now the global police for all party favors in the entire world. Yeah, that sounds like a good use of our money, but nobody's going to stop them. At least not in any way that's going to be somewhat peaceful. So, trying hard not to lean into the nihilism, but that's where I'm at. I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, but I hope you guys take care of yourselves today. I hope you drink some coffee, hope you get a yummy snack, and as always, keep your eyes up, keep your feet on the ground. See you next time. Ta-ta.
You know, it's not funny, because I want to believe that I should be working with the government. There should be an information as to how and when to arrest people, and Ministry of Information and Ministry of Interior. I believe those are the people that should be responsible as to knowing the people that are coming into the country, and they should work, or I should take permissions before just, well, this is the story, that a woman actually saw those guys working on the plant, on the land allocated for the plant to be restored. And from what I noticed, the woman was to be someone, a congresswoman that is intending to go into politics, or probably she was in politics, or she heard that, so she saw some people that were not looking like palm-colored people like her, and she made a call, and she called ICE. You see that? That's why we are saying that this administration has totally made the administration to be for some set of people, palm-colored people, white supremacy. If it is not us, it can't be any other person. Of course, she put a call through to ICE, and of course, ICE came within few minutes and hours. Those people were arrested, and they were shocked because they knew quite alright that they came into the country legally to train people, to train Americans, and of course, because of the investment that is at stake, over billions of dollars were at stake. And of course, that is why they came into the country, so that they can perfect the contract that was between South Korean government and American government. Unknown to ICE that those guys were expertise, and that, if they were arrested and they were told, what are you doing, making inquiry, loving good, it's all because they are not even interested in asking about anything. They just arrest people. Once you are not palm-colored people, they arrest you, treat you shabbily, treat you anyhow. And at the long run, these guys happen to be expatriate that Trump's administration is aware of, because it's an agreement between him and South Korean president. And when these guys were arrested, if they were arrested and asked some questions, it would have been good. But they just arrest them, throw them into the prison with handcuffs in their hand as if they are criminals. At the long run, it happened that those guys were not meant to be treated that way. And of course, the South Korean government weighed in and was like, okay, let me have my people. They were going to handcuff them again. Said, no, these guys are not prisoners. Imagine the president negotiating that they should not handcuff them. I haven't found that these guys are expatriates. Something is wrong. And this is what we're talking about. When a system is built only to profile people, something is wrong. Now, billions of dollars that are meant for the Georgia as a state government to benefit and train the people, and jobs were meant to be created. Over hundreds of thousands of jobs are meant to be created. Now it has been stopped. Of course, into the American economy, that would have been a plus because they are bringing in the expertise and they're going to be training people. On days going to be in the country, LG and several other companies that are meant to invest into America. Now they said they're not going to come back. And the government was consulted. They said, let them come back. They're going to have a better arrangement. The South Korean government said, well, I want them to come back, but nobody's willing to come back. They are saying they can't come back. Who would come back when you receive such a treatment from such a government organization? Who would come back? And this is what we are saying. America can do better. Stop this hate. Stop this racial profiling. Stop this aggression. Stop all of these things that you are doing because you are going to shoot yourself at the leg. That is what is going to happen in the long run. And that's exactly what happened because billions of dollars has been cancelled until further notice because South Korean government is not ready to continue in that deal anymore. Guys, what do you think about this? Let the conversation begin. Let me know your views, your perception about this story because it's not fun any longer. No system of government is built this way to be hostile to people. Guys, until I come your way again, thank you for watching. Thank you for the likes and subscribe. I am grateful. Thank you guys. Stay in peace. Stay calm. Bye-bye.